and welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we have a wonderful guest that we are so excited to be joining us again. Two-timer. We have...
She likes us.
Yeah. We have Kaitlyn Facista. Is that... I'm saying it right. Facista? Yes.
Yep.
Who has wrote the beautiful book, which is coming out next month, right? It's coming out in
February 20th.
February 20th. She has written the book Into the Heart of Middle Earth, exploring faith and fellowship in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And so we are excited to have her on the podcast today to be able to talk about her great book that we are so excited is coming out so soon so the masses can enjoy it. But we were very fortunate to be able to get a sneak peek early digital copy. So we've been enjoying your work so far. But we are so happy to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you for having me back. This is really fun. I always love chatting with you guys.
Yay!
Hey.
We enjoy having you too. So first off, how are you doing? How's everything going? How does it feel to be published and have a physical book?
It's crazy. It feels very surreal. And I honestly haven't even had time for it to sink in yet because I've been so busy, doing all kinds of little things related to the book stuff. So hopefully soon I'll be able to just sit and relax with it, but haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah. I was telling Ashley that I saw you post kind of a picture of you with your book in your hands. And I'm like, I think it was just a proof, but I'm like, is it that huge? The book was so big. It was probably 2 feet by, or something huge like that.
Yeah. That was when the cover art was finished, my publisher sent me a big foam board of it.
Oh, okay.
And that was my cover reveal. And I had a couple people be like, why is it so big? Yeah. And I was like, that is not the book. Yeah, the book is it's right behind me. It's very normal size.
Okay, good.
It's a regular size.
I was like, I don't know if I have shelf space for something that big.
No.
But I was like, maybe it's a coffee table book. I don't know. Maybe she's going for it. Who knows?
Someday
sized.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a large print.
Hey, in the Lord of the Rings, have you noticed their books are huge? They're this big. When he's Gandalf was looking through books, I'm like, okay. Who has bookshelves?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, who has bookshelves that big?
Even the red one's pretty big too.
I know. Who has bookshelves that big? They're the kind of crazy people who stack their books up like this. Could it be me? It couldn't be me.
Well, luckily for everyone, it's not that huge.
Okay.
It's a very normal sized, regular sized book.
Well, we're so excited for, like you said, it's coming out on February 20th. Said. That's coming up. That's so soon. And are pre-orders available now though, or is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Anywhere. Amazon, bookshop.org. I've seen it on Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, pretty much anywhere you buy books, you should be able to find it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm definitely ordering it for a friend of mine whose birthday's in March and who would love this book. So I'm excited to get that for her.
Awesome.
Actually, I have a question that is right around that realm, Abby, if you don't mind me interrupting. So I see it's on paperback, hardcover, audio. What other versions will it be coming out in? Or is this, I don't want to say, is this it? But I'll buy it no matter what. But
I do believe that there will be an ebook, but there currently no plans for a hardcover. And I haven't had I think if it's very successful, we could do an audiobook is probably the thought that my publisher is having, but we haven't had any discussions about it quite yet.
Okay.
Got it.
Cool. Would you read it yourself if you did an audiobook, or would you?
I don't know. I could.
That'd be cool.
It would be weird listening to my own book with someone else read it.
True.
But
I was going to say, Who would you even want? Like Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Just have him.
We're shooting
He's
high.
on a roll anyway.
We're shooting high here. Andy
Yeah.
Serkis.
No, it would have to be like Lloyd Owen or something.
Or we were watching the Fellowship. My mom was watching the Fellowship the other day, and we walked into her house, and she paused it, and she's watching on Amazon Prime, where like when you pause it, it like pops up with like info, and there was like whose actors or who were playing who, and there was a thing that popped up that I think his name was like Andy Wood or something like that, or something close to that, and it just said The Ring under it. Like he's the voice.
Is he like the one who's whispering?
Yeah, he's the voice of The Ring.
I was thinking about that.
I was like,
I'll look into that guy.
I was like,
yeah, his whole role is like,
I see you. And so,
how much did that guy get paid?
And my son was like,
hopefully a lot. Yeah.
My son was like, what? I mean, what a cool, like, he's like, what a cool job. It's like, who are you? I'm The Ring. It's like, that's me. And I'm like, you should get that guy, except he would whisper your book the whole time.
It's like ASMR.
Yeah, you're like, huh? You know, he might be too big for you. He is The Ring, so he might be a hard.
He might
get.
be, yeah.
But you have a very calming voice. I feel like it matches the aesthetic of the book as well. So
yeah,
I say
you
go
could
for
do
it.
it. You could do it.
You never know.
Another opening question for you though. Have you been celebrating any of the 25th anniversary movie things? Like, you know, we've seen a lot of people on social media, they're like, I did the marathon in the movie theater. Have you been doing any of that? Or I think you mentioned before that you didn't even get to see the movies in theaters when you were younger.
Yeah, I've never seen them in theaters. I have not had any time. I have 6 kids at home, and the thought
she's like an established author, Abby.
Just like the logistics of finding a babysitter, paying a babysitter, going
for
to
4
sit,
hours.
You know, yeah. Like if I'm gonna pay a babysitter for 4 hours, I'm not gonna watch a movie that I can watch at home, even though it sounds really cool. Like it's just not the season of life that I'm in right now. It's totally unrealistic. Like I live very far away from family, so it's not like I could just have like my parents babysit. I would have to be like paying someone.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe someday, maybe for like the 30th anniversary, they'll re-release it again or something.
Awesome.
But you know, it's not in the cards for me this time. But I've been really enjoying seeing everyone else posting about it. Like all of my friends are like sending me pictures of themselves like crying in the movie theater and stuff. So
that's gonna be me. We're watching it on Tuesday and Wednesday. I think we're gonna go finish the last 2. But
I just finished last night.
I'm bringing my older 2 who've never seen it, so I'm just like,
that's so cool.
It's great.
That's so special.
It is. And what's crazy is I'm watching it in the theater that I watched it in 25 years ago. So it's very crazy to me to bring my children and be like, you guys, you don't understand.
Yeah. That's so special. I'm so glad they did this whole re-release thing just so that you can like pass it down through generations.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's great. So jumping into questions about your beautiful book, which I have to say I am loving reading. You are so talented. Let's give it up. You're so talented. It's so good.
Thank you.
So like we said before, we were very privileged to receive an advanced digital copy of this seriously amazing book. And so we've been able to enjoy your writing as kind of like a preface for this interview. And so thank you for that. First of all, thank you. It was very, very good. So my first question is that your book kind of throws out like a lot of Tolkien history at the reader in a good way. Like just like, there's like a ton.
And not the obvious stuff either.
Yeah. So
like deep cuts.
Yeah. So some of it's from like the actual books, like the Silmarillion, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, and other books. And then some facts are from his personal life and history. And I was just wondering, what was that research process like? Like, did you just have it already stored up in your brain? You're like, I know this already. I remember everything. Or did you like seek it out for this project individually, chapter by chapter? Or like, and how long did that take you to do that?
Well, a lot of it I did already have in my brain.
Jealous.
I kind of like live and breathe Tolkien, like Tolkien scholarship, I guess, and Tolkien fandom. So a lot of it was just kind of already familiar to me, but then a lot of it is like I have this in my mind, but I don't remember the exact quote. So a big part of my whole process was I have like the Kindle versions of almost every Tolkien book, and those are so handy because you can just search them. And so I would be like, I remember Tolkien said something about, Sauron not liking wasteful friction. So then I can just search like friction, and then it's like, okay, yeah. So it's kind of there, but then I need a little help finding things and bringing it all together with like the exact quotes, because I'm not just going to be like, Sauron, Tolkien said somewhere, Sauron,
something like,
yeah, like we need the exact quotes. So a lot of it is just, I would have like 10 tabs open on my computer, and they're all different Tolkien, either PDFs or Kindle books. And I'm just kind of going through all of them. And I would say at the beginning, I basically compiled like a document of like everything. And then I have several different documents that are like Tolkien quotes about whatever topic, like Tolkien quotes about hope, or Tolkien quotes about, despair. And so I have them all in like all these different documents. And a lot of it is just like searching through what I already had and then finding everything else that I didn't already have. So it took a while. I think I signed the book deal in January 2024, and then I turned in the book the next year. So I had a whole year to write it, and then we had like 6 months of just back and forth edits. So it was like a year and a half long just to get the text finished.
Yeah. So did you learn anything new for this book, like that you didn't know before? Like, do you know everything?
I was just born perfect, and I already know everything about Tolkien. So no,
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, based on the book, I'm like, she knows everything.
It's true.
No. I learned a lot. I would say the thing I learned the most about was Tolkien's life, because I had to do a lot of research. That's probably the area I was least familiar with. Like, I know a lot about The Lord of the Rings, and I did know a lot about Tolkien's faith, but less about his actual life. So I had to learn a lot about his earlier years, and World War I, and then kind of the way that a lot of that shaped him and his stories too. And it's also very interesting when you are researching Tolkien and learning about the timeline when he did write things. And you can see, thanks to Christopher Tolkien, we have the history of Middle Earth, and that really chronicles like Tolkien's whole process of when he was changing ideas and moving things around. And so that was super interesting to me, and I didn't know a lot of that.
Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously.
He did so much.
We owe so much to Christopher Tolkien.
I know. I
loved that you added that note, like, and thank you to Tolkien, but also really thank you, Christopher, like, for getting it all together.
Yeah. We wouldn't even have the Silmarillion without him. And like, I can't even imagine my life without the Silmarillion. Like,
right?
Same.
We joke on our podcast that like poor Christopher is just like sitting at a desk like, and there's just like all these like pages around him like, why, Dad? Why? And then there's just like stuff hidden under other things, and he's like, wait, and then this goes over here, and then and he has like all these like, that red yarn on the cork board that's like going everywhere, and he's like,
Then he like finishes a draft, and then he finds another piece of paper that like completely changes, and he's just like, no, why? I can't. Yeah, that process must have been insane.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, poor guy. But honestly, what a soldier.
Worth it.
He got it.
On the rewatch of the movies, I was noticing stuff. I was taking the time to notice more stuff in the background, because it's it's on the big screen. You can see more of the background stuff. And Bilbo's office, or whatever that he's in when he's writing his stuff, it's like scattered papers everywhere, piles and, things are all falling over. But when then Frodo's at the desk later, it's all clean. It's all like put away. And so I'm like, Tolkien, Christopher.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah. And that's like my desk is currently like Bilbo's stuff everywhere. So I find that very relatable.
All right. So which child is your Christopher? Which one's going to do?
So who's going to clean up all this stuff for me?
Who's the lucky one?
Yeah.
Actually, I think you had a question that kind of leaned into that, like, kind of office desk situation.
Yes. I was like, which one? So I'm picturing you writing this book, and it's not the old pen and paper anymore. It's it's a keyboard and a laptop and stuff. But what does Kaitlyn's like Zen in the groove writing look like? Like, are you on your laptop in an office or on the couch? Is there music playing? What snacks did you have available that really fueled you? Like, what does that look like?
The hard-hitting questions. Tell us.
So my
sweet
writing...
or salty? I need to know, Kaitlyn.
I don't even remember. My writing process really had 2 phases. So a lot of it was typed on my phone while I was like rocking a baby. Because I found out I was pregnant with my 6th kid like the week after I signed my book deal. And I was like, wow, my life is changing. Yeah. I was not expecting to be doing both of these at the same time. So
'cause you have so much energy when you're pregnant. You have so much time.
I wasn't sick at all.
No.
So a lot of it was after the baby was born, I was still writing. And so I would be like rocking her to sleep or just holding her. Newborns don't really like to be set down. So a lot of it was like the baby right here and then me on my phone typing with one hand. And like that is how I would say most of the first draft came to life. And then in between those moments, whenever I had a couple of hours, whether my husband was home and he could take the kids or I had a babysitter, I would go to like Panera or any coffee shop. And then I would just like write for as long as I could. And the Panera in my town, I think they do this intentionally because they don't want people camped out there all day. They don't have like outlets at any of their tables. So I'm like, okay, I can be here as long until my computer dies. So that was great motivation to be like, let's get this, as fast as we can. So I could be there for like 2.5 hours or something. Snacks, I really don't remember. I think I would drink a lot of iced coffee if I was at the coffee shop. That's kind of my go-to drink. And then like, I don't know, like a croissant or something. But I don't think I had any
fancy snacker.
Specific. I don't think I had any like specific snacks, but it was really just like, oh my gosh, I have to write this book. Like, let's like do this as well as I can. And felt like a lot of pressure, but we did it. So.
Okay, but how awesome to say like I typed this book with one hand on on
my phone, so like, no one else has any excuse. Yeah, and like that's how I used to think. Like towards the beginning of the process, like I can only do this if I sit down and I have 8 hours straight to work, And then I soon realized like, okay, this book will never get written if that's the case. So I really had to kind of mentally talk myself into like, no, this book is going to be written in 10 minutes at a time on my phone. And it would be like the draft I had typed on my phone obviously has like typos and it's very rough. But then after that, it was like when I did get time to my computer, it was like time to refine it. So it was kind of good in a way too, because it gives you that break between the rough draft and the revision. I had this really great app that I loved called Dabble. If anyone is writing a book or even like a long project, a big multi-chapter project or like a thesis, it's super great. I like highly recommend it.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll have to tell my friends trying to get her book out there. So maybe I'll help her with that one.
Speaking of no power outlets, I am going to send you a link for the thing I got myself for Christmas because I had the same issue. Not writing a book, obviously, but you're at the YMCA pool. There's no outlets anywhere, and I'm like, okay, you can keep swimming until my laptop dies. I now have basically think of like a power brick, but it has a plug.
Ooh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very handy.
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Game changer, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So when I was reading this book, I was noticing that it just feels so lovingly warm and personal. And I feel like this was a very personal book for you. I mean, there's some people who write that you're like, oh yes, this is my life's work, but it's a story about other people. It's a story about a whole other world and stuff like that. And this was a kind of a mesh of yes, Tolkien's world, but also your own personal world, your own feelings and emotions and stuff like that. And if I can say, it feels like when I was reading it that you opened your heart on many of the subjects and many of the chapters that that you shared what has been maybe healing or educational to you throughout your life. And I know that your faith or faith in general is kind of the top focus of this book. But what really spoke to you, your heart and your mind, to say, hey, I need to write this book, or I want to write this book, or this book needs to be written?
Well, first of all, I hate writing about myself. I find that so scary. And in the first drafts of the book, none of that was in there. And my publisher or my editor was kind of like, this is your book. You need to be in it. And it was so hard for me because I hate sharing about myself or taking the spotlight. But I feel like it became so much better as I was willing to open up a little bit more, because in doing so, I think I can show how it can practical ways that you can apply the lessons of Middle Earth to your own life in showing the ways that I do. And it's never to be look at me, I'm the best, but it's if I can do it, then you can do it too. I really feel like the reason that I wrote the book is because Tolkien has changed my life. And I think that if more people read Tolkien and understand Tolkien and really entered into Middle Earth in the way that I try to guide readers through, I think that the world would be exponentially better. And so if each of us can kind of commit to making these small steps and journeying into Middle Earth, seeing what kind of connects with us, and then carrying those elements and those lessons back into our own daily lives and applying them to the way that we live, that can make serious positive change for the world.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you added at the very end of each kind of big chapter of here, yes, you gave us all these insights and thoughts and things about certain topics, there was grief and hope and finding your fellowship and things like that, but you at the very end, you're it doesn't have to be daunting. These are little things that you can do to change your life if you want to. There are just this most simple suggestions, but taking those suggestions and moving forward with them and maybe snowballing it into bigger things that will affect your life. And I find that that it's very what's the word, very accessible for people to be okay, I don't have to change everything huge, I don't have to redo everything about my life. That a lot. But you've given these tiny suggestions of okay, well, you can do this, and this will start your journey of going, if you really want a big change, you don't have to jump off this huge cliff of change. You can do these little things, and I'm I like that. It's great.
Well, yeah, and that's even the way that it is for Frodo when he takes the ring. He doesn't fully understand when when he first gets the ring, that he's going to have to take it all the way to Mordor. He's kind of like, yeah, I'll take it to Rivendell and then the elves can figure it out. And it's like he's willing to kind of take these small steps, because if you would have told him right at the beginning, like if he would have known what it would have costed him, it would have been perhaps a more difficult yes for Frodo. But it's just like you just take one step out of the door and then another and another, and you'll see where it leads you. But you don't have to, like, you're not going to teleport to Mordor. You're not going to like run a marathon straight there. It's like
take eagles to Mordor.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
But one thing I was trying to explain to my dad, because my dad is my like book person I always talk to about books, and he always, what are you reading? And I'm like, well, I'm reading this really good book about Tolkien's Middle Earth. And he's like, oh, so it's like a reference book, or like, you know, are you learning stuff? I'm like, yes, but no. And I was like, the best way I can think of to say it, and I hope you're not offended by this, it's almost like a self-help book, but in like the nicest way possible. Like you just feel good reading it. Like it just made me like all the things that I love about Tolkien, you just verbalized in so many simple ways, and just well thought out, well, you know, analogized, if that's a word. And I hope, yeah, self-help book doesn't offend you, but I couldn't think of another like term that's like that, like where it put the thoughts in order. It gave meaning to the things that I have loved for years, and put it in a perspective that, yeah, made me feel better about myself or my downfalls, or, you know, things that I struggle with. And I that's what I've like self-help, like I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been, because I feel like it doesn't necessarily fit into one category of books.
Yeah.
But the way that we've described it, like with my publisher, it's a spiritual journey for the hobbit at heart. So it's like you really are, you're like going into Middle Earth, and not only are you exploring Middle Earth, you're going to learn about yourself along the way, and you're going to see which values of Middle Earth you hold dear, and you're kind of going to look at what you want your life to look like, kind of in a response to exploring Middle Earth. And then you're going to think about ways that you can pull yourself back into the real world, because, you know, we love the Lord of the Rings and we love reading fantasy, but we're not just going to like stay there and live in this escapist reality. Like, yes, it's something beautiful that you can escape into, but you always need to come back, and you can be better when you come back. You can be transformed through the story. So yeah, maybe self-help, yeah, it might fit into a self-help category. It's I really don't even know, like, yeah, what category does it fit into? It's like not literary analysis necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, who knows? We'll have to see. Like,
Tolkien was a life coach.
Yeah, I'm like, if it gets in like Barnes and Noble, I'm like, where are they gonna put it even?
Yeah,
who knows?
you're your own category.
Yeah, just me by myself.
Yeah, yeah, just you, just a whole display just for your book.
Yeah,
they're like, we really couldn't figure out where to put it, so you get your own display.
We just ordered 100 copies and just made a whole end cap.
Yeah,
just for her.
There you go. This kind of tags along to another question I had. You kind of covered it already, of like just the basis of like what you want your book to do for people. Like, you know, Ashley mentioned a self-help. I also wrote down like a feeling of belonging, you know, a feeling of, okay, like I, you know, want this type of life, and how can I get to that point, kind of thing. So what do you feel when you were writing this book? You're like, I'm writing this because I want to give what to my readers? What do I want, you know, out there?
Yeah, I really want people to, first of all, understand Tolkien and understand the Lord of the Rings. I think a lot of people feel intimidated by Tolkien, and so they never pick up the book to begin with. And then B, a lot of people totally misunderstand the Lord of the Rings, where they're like, I don't know, they see Tolkien's
it's just
villains,
goblins and dragons.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so there's just a complete like widespread misunderstanding of Tolkien, I think, across society. So I would love to help resolve that in whatever way I can. But I also think that there is a huge there's a lot of darkness in our world and so much suffering and pain and despair. And Tolkien is such a source of hope for myself and for a lot of other people I know. And so if I can kind of almost like, if I can like guide your gaze to this hope that Tolkien is, it's almost like lift your eyes up to see the star of hope. And that's like kind of how Tolkien's works are for me. So if I can help like hold your hand and walk with you as you discover your own hope and courage and fellowship through the story, like that's my role as the author of this book.
That is beautiful. Like I'm like almost tearing. That was so beautifully put, and exactly if I could have answered that question for you, that would have been my answer. Like that was just perfectly put.
That's great.
And the second part to that question too is, so like you said, all you want to provide this, you know, hope, and when I was reading your chapters, that I felt that they were filled with this love and this hope in each one, and with the foundations of your own personal knowledge of like your own life, and also your knowledge of Tolkien and the scholarly knowledge of Lord of the Rings and things like that, and your own personal experiences. But your chapters cover a lot of things, like I said before, like finding your fellowship was one of my favorite ones. There was ones about letting go of things. There was ones about grief, stuff like that. But were there any chapters that were more difficult to write for you? And were there any that were more like, I love this so much, I could have written like 60 pages on this one thing?
I think the hardest thing for me was like sorting my thoughts into different groups for the chapters, because especially towards the middle of the book, I feel like the chapters were so similar in my mind. Like when we talk about discernment in one chapter and temptation, and then we talk about being a steward in another, like those two chapters, as I was writing them, I kept like almost wanting to turn them into like some mega chapter. And
they overlap,
of course, like pretty
well.
Yeah, and they're almost like sister chapters, I guess. And so the temptation to like just squish them all together into one big chapter was hard for me. And of course, like my publisher doesn't want that, because you want the book to be accessible, so chapters should be around the same size and have kind of a similar flows. So finding a way to kind of separate those two, because I feel like the topics are so interconnected. That was a little bit hard for me. But I loved writing about hope. I think it was my favorite topic to write about, definitely.
It's one we need right now.
Yeah.
Were there any that were harder for you to write? Like ones that you're like, oh, like this is just not harder in the sense of like you didn't know much about it, but harder of like, this is just a difficult topic to cover.
Yeah. Writing about Éowyn, I think was difficult, because when you first think about her character, I think there's so much nuance to the character of Éowyn, like her motivations, what happens when she rides into battle, and then what happens after, that I think that was kind of something that I had to really sit with and reflect on as I was writing, and really not want to mess that up, because Éowyn is such a great character. She's so important to me and, you know, so many other women. And I think a lot of people tend to give kind of a flat reading to the character of Éowyn, where they're like, she rebels and rides off into battle, but then she gets married and now she's someone's wife. And it's like, that's not...
There's so much more than that.
No, yeah.
You're missing the point.
So definitely trying to like sort through that and try and communicate.
Do her justice.
Do her justice was, I think, like it felt very perilous to me. And then same whenever I would talk about Galadriel. Like, as we know, there aren't a ton of female characters in Tolkien, but when I do get a chance to talk about them, it's like, I'm like, oh, I need to be careful. I don't want to mess this up.
Tread lightly.
Yeah, so it was like more stressful just because I felt like this pressure to make sure I got everything right. The last thing I want to do is like write a book about Tolkien and like mess up talking about Eowyn. Like that would be so embarrassing.
Hey, I think you did a great job. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I recently, when I was talking about that, I recently went to the theater with my kids to watch it. I took a coworker with me who has never seen them. She doesn't know anything about it, really. And so she watched The Fellowship and she goes, that was pretty good, but it was like 99% dudes. And I was like, okay, just wait for the next one. You're going to meet a great character. She's like, oh, good.
Still a lot of dudes, but you know, we get some cool girls.
Yeah.
So we went to a fan expo thing and I had made my daughter a shirt that had like all of the girl Harry Potter characters that she loved, you know, like Luna and Hermione and Ginny. And I'm like, I would love to make a Tolkien version that has like Galadriel and Eowyn and Arwen, but like, you know, like it doesn't exist in the world.
You'd have to make it.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things that you included in your book was I mentioned it before, at the end of at the end of your chapters, it's kind of like a suggestion of like things that you can do in your personal life. And one of the chapters, it's your homework. And one of them was one of my favorites was the hobbit values, which you included.
Ooh, yeah.
And your suggestion was to choose 5 to 10 of the following values that you would like to incorporate more into your life and write them down in a notebook. And kind of just something as like a personal reminder, right? Like, okay, these are the things I want to focus on. And you gave, I'm trying to count, there's probably like, how many did you put in here? Probably like,
it's got to be like 50 or so.
Yeah. And so you just pick 5 to 10. Like, don't overwhelm yourself. Like, just pick like a small number. And so I picked my 5, and I want to know if you guys have your 5 or 10. Did you pick any?
I don't know. I have probably picked all of them.
Yeah. Well, these are the ones that I'm like focusing on my life. Like, okay, at least this month, this is what I want to, you know, try to do more. Mine were adventure and peace and optimism and hospitality and tookishness.
Ooh, that's great.
Those were mine that I at least want to try for like the next few months.
I love that.
Tookishness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashley, did you find any that you chose?
I did not focus on that. I missed that homework assignment. I mean, I didn't miss it. I was so invested in like, skip the homework. Let's keep going.
Yeah. That's great.
But we couldn't highlight any of the book, which I mean, I was still happy to read it. So I literally like selected the text from where I wanted it and like screenshotted it.
Oh yeah.
So that was my thing to do. Mm-hmm. So that's what my homework was. Is I was like, and saving this for later, and saving this for later. You had so many good analogies and so many thought-provoking insights into like people's stories and words and things that I just was like, yeah, that is right. Like, you just blew my mind.
Well, that's great. Always good to hear.
Speaking of quotes, I would love, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Like I said, we got an advanced copy, so people haven't been reading it yet. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I do want to just just kind of capture my favorite quotes that you've written, because they're like, I highlighted them because I'm like, oh, I love these so much. One of them was about, you had a chapter about mirth and a little thing about that, about
I like that
finding joy in things, and sometimes that laughter and joy can help break you out of, you know, awful things that are happening around you. And one of my favorites that you wrote was cultivating joy is one of our best defenses against despair. And I'm like, oh, it's so true. Like, we can't go out into the world, which is becoming a very, dark and scary world out there, without having that foundation of joy that we, cultivate into ourselves. And it does take effort. Like, it takes, it's not like, okay, I'm going to be happy today and just like keep going. It's like you have to build these things that bring you joy into your life that you can carry with you, throughout the week outside your home or things like that. And me personally, I am trying to make my home a, that safe haven of like, okay, I feel loved and calm in here, and my children feel loved and calm in here, and they can bring that out into the world, and hopefully that countenance from them will help others feel that same way. And I was wondering if you had any ways that you bring joy into your life or into your home that you can, give out into the world when you go outside and are, experiencing life with other people.
Oh, yeah. I would say I just try to anchor everything in love and like an awareness of the dignity of all people, and kind of just remember that in my own life and teach that to my kids, try to really reinforce that. Like, everyone deserves respect, even if it's a kid at school that you don't like, even if it's someone you don't know.
Those punks.
Yeah. It's just, there is so much going on right now where certain groups of people are dehumanized, and we have people being attacked and, treated as less than human. And that is just such a serious problem that doesn't fly in my house. Like, that does not happen in my house. That will not happen. I won't tolerate that. Even if my kids have friends over and they kind of might say something to belittle someone else or kind of to treat them as less than someone else, like, nope, not happening.
Nope.
We don't do that here. It's like that meme from Black Panther. We don't do that here. So that's just really big for us, is just reinforcing the value of all people, and kind of also just focusing on like the fun and the positive, and kind of just trying to anchor ourselves in that.
And which is so important. Like, honestly, like, yes, this was always needed to be taught even before things like now have been escalating so much, but it's now the opportunity to really as mothers, teach our children these ways. And also when I find that when I am talking to my children about these things, or I'm teaching them these things, that I'm like, okay, we're like, opening this world together of like, we're going to do this together. I'm not just teaching you and then I'm going to do whatever I want. Like, I'm, doing this with you. This is like a together as a family. This is what we're doing. And that is very important. It's cultivating love in your home enough that my children go out into the world and are like, oh, love is the most important thing. Like, we just need to, be there for everyone and be helpful and be supportive and, help those who, don't feel like they have anyone, and to cultivate that in my house, and like, is like very important to me. And I feel like that is important to you too. So it's, as a mom, I feel you on that one. It's tough raising kids right now.
It is.
It is. And then Ashley, do you have a quote that you enjoyed?
I was literally just going through and I'm like, I love that one, but it's super long. I love that one, but it's super long. I mean, I loved your moment with, I can't quote it directly because it was very long. I'm like, I love this whole section. But, something that I wanted, like, the first takeaway, I think, like, you know what, I should do that more, was your mention about Sam noticing the star. So he's, in the midst of this crappy situation, and he just happens to see this glimmer of a star, and that just like gives him the hope and the refuel that, things are okay. And just noticing the small little things throughout our days, our lives, this was a crappy day, but man, that is a really pretty flower I saw on the ground. Isn't life great? Like, just trying to notice the little things, and, have that counteract the grief and the crappiness that is sometimes the world, was like the first takeaway that I had. Because that is something that maybe we don't do enough in this world, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely, like finding gratitude in things can go a long way in changing your perspective, and looking for the moments of beauty even when you're surrounded by darkness.
I also loved your talk about despair and grief, and how it works differently on different people, but how Sauron was just so cunning in the ways that he would like manipulate things to make it worse for different people. Not everyone was grieved by one thing. He just had subtle ways of doing it to, everyone around him. Even the temptations of the ring were different for everyone. It's hard to have like a one size fits all to a treatment of depression or anxiety or anything like that. But to counteract it with the tools that you gave in the book, I feel like are sort of unparalleled. Like it just can't be said enough. Like you just found a way of counteracting all of the bad in this world with all of your nuggets that you found.
Good job.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I love the way that Tolkien brings us together through things like hope and strength against despair, because despair is like the number one enemy of Sauron. And so if you're able to withstand that and resist despair, because it is a temptation to despair, because you think like it almost gives you an excuse when you fall into despair to not do anything. You're like, oh, everything's terrible. I can't fix anything. I'll just sit here and waste away while everything gets bad because I know there's no way to stop it. Like that gives you an excuse. You
said that about Denethor. I literally highlighted that. How he just kind of gave in and just if you don't mind me reading it. And for Tolkien's villains, there was a weapon more powerful than any smith might forge. Love that. One that yielded to neither sword nor shield, despair. Despair can bring a great warrior to his knees more surely than starvation and more swiftly than an arrow. Despair whispers to its foes of a battle already lost, planting seeds of hopelessness that bloom in doubt's darkness. Just like, I mean, sad. I mean, that sucks, but it's very true.
Well, yeah, and like that's how it goes in Gondor when Denethor is just like everything's destroyed. I'm just gonna go off and die. And then Gandalf's like, actually, you have to get off your butt and do something. And then he doesn't. So then Gandalf has to do it, and like I'm sure Gandalf is annoyed. Like all these people are supposed to be doing their jobs, but then instead they just get so comfortable in their own misery, and then they just resign themselves to give up. So then someone else has to do it. You have to at least be willing to risk hope. Otherwise you let everyone around you down, you let yourself down. Like it's not an option.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a very good example of, depression too, where you just, you can't help yourself or get out of it. But you have another quote here. Despair promises certainty, whereas hope lives in the unknown, which I thought was very true. Like it's scary to try and, get out of that, comfortable dark cloud, but it is good for you. Like you can do it.
Yeah, it is scary. It's hard to to be like, to find the strength. Yeah, it does require strength to resist despair and to take that risk of an unknown future. Yeah. But it's worth it.
It is.
It's worth it.
So you being a mother know this. I understand this, that sadly I have to go soon to pick up my child from school. But I have personally I have a final question for you. So in, like we talked about before, I hate bringing this as like such like a dark, like, you know, talking about
I already took it to the dark
things.
You're fine. Go for it.
So, you know, in these times, in the world that's happening right now, I, you know, keep coming back to that amazing quote, that's that very popular quote that Gandalf says to Frodo. You know, when Frodo says, I wish that this never happened to me. I wish that this isn't like a thing that I had to go through. I didn't expect this to be this way. You know, that's what he's talking about. And, you know, and that famous quote of Gandalf saying that, you know, so do I, and so do all who live to see such times, but that's not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. And so, do you have anything that you would like to say to those who are listening on our podcast right now or watching it on YouTube that will give them that courage out there in the world?
I think a big thing for me, especially just as a Christian, I believe that and I guess this could even extend beyond that. We've all been born into this time period for a reason. Like, I wasn't born 100 years ago. I was born 33 years ago. And I'm here. Like, why am I here? I'm here for a specific reason. And I'm here in a specific time and place. And I have specific talents and perspectives and strengths and weaknesses. And like, I'm here for a reason. And so are all of you. And it's not an accident that we exist, I guess, in the time and space that we do exist in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, you're here for a reason. It's good that you're here, and you're here to do something. And so it's scary, like just like how it is for Frodo. He's scared. He wishes he didn't have to deal with this. And Gandalf doesn't respond by being like, well, suck it up, loser. Like, too bad. So sad. You know, Gandalf is like, I know it's hard. It's scary, but
you volunteered for this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, he totally has empathy here. And he's like, I know it's terrible. And no one wants to be, you know, like there's this meme that's like, I really wish we weren't living through another unprecedented event. And it's like, everyone who lives through unprecedented events wishes they didn't, but you know, we all do. We all are. And so it's up to us to kind of meet the moment that we're in. And I think I find a lot of comfort in knowing that I was put in the place and time that I am in for a reason, and that I can do something to help, even if it's small, even if it's just something in my home, even if it's something as big as going out and doing something else. You know, like there is a whole range of things that you can do to help others, to promote peace, and the dignity of all people. And so I would just say, like, you're here for a reason. And I know it's scary, but you don't have to be afraid. We're all here together. And just like the Fellowship of the Ring, how they're kind of go forth together. Like, you can find your fellowship, and you can journey together with each other.
I love that chapter, by the way. That was one of my favorite ones. Well, like I said, when I was reading your book, I was just loving all the warmth and comfort I was feeling for most of it. You were an amazing writer, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I could really feel through the book of how much you love this, like how much you love the world of Tolkien, how much you love of his world too. I feel like that's a big thing. It's like, it wasn't some like, oh, I just wrote it, whatever. It became huge. That's pretty cool. It was, he poured his
Your
life
heart
into
was
it.
on the pages.
Yeah. He poured his life into it. And I feel like you caught that as well. And you poured your heart into this book. And it's very comforting in the sense of, it's a book, like Asha said, it's not a really self-help book, but it's along the lines.
It helped me.
What did your publisher want to call it? A spiritual.
It's a spiritual journey for the Hobbit at heart.
Yes.
So you're exploring Middle Earth while you're also learning about yourself. So it's like literary analysis meets self-help, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Your own
if
category.
Tolkien was
your
a life
own
coach.
category.
Yes, Tolkien as a life coach.
Yes. And it's very accessible to everyone. It's not like out of your reach to do any of these things. And I find that that's very helpful to people of like, oh, I can't even start because I'm not at this point, or things like that. And I'm thankful for you for writing that, because I feel like, it can be hard for a lot of people to try to get to the point that they want to get to, because I think it's too daunting. But you broke it down into very easy, heartfelt suggestions and explanations. And I loved your history about different parts of faith and things like that. It's very uplifting. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you for writing this book.
Thank you for reading it.
Do you want to say any more facts about your book? Like, again, we can reiterate, pre-sale, when it's coming out, title, things like that.
Yeah, so the book is called Into the Heart of Middle Earth, and it comes out February 20th. You can find all of the links to purchase it or pre-order it at teawithtolkien.com/book. But it's really like everywhere. It's on Amazon and bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, like pretty much anywhere that you might want to buy a book. I would also love if people wanted to request it from their library, because the idea of my book being in a library is crazy. Like, someone did that the other day, and I was like fangirling. I was like, my book in a library? Like, that's crazy.
Oh, I should talk to my
love
friend
that
who's
too.
a librarian. I'd be like,
yeah,
librarian
with the little
Sam.
plastic filmy over your.
Yeah, I was imagining my book with the plastic film and the little scanny barcode thing, and I was like tearing up. Like, imagine, I don't know.
You're adorable.
Well, if I find it at my library, I'll definitely send you a picture. Like,
yes,
hey,
please.
It was in our library.
I don't know why. Okay, it's in a bookstore, cool, but it's in a library. No way.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's like the most
stardom.
wholesome thing I've heard.
That's so cute. Support your local libraries, people.
Yes,
support your local
please
libraries.
request it from your libraries. That would be so cool.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy you were here. You can come back and visit with us anytime. We can talk about whatever.
All right.
Yes. Oh, before you go, I just wanted to show it just so it's out in the world somewhere. I have to grab it because your Lego reminded me of it. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Baradur.
Baradur.
I had it decorated for Christmas, and I had Christmas lights on it, and I just took them off recently.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I know.
So my son made this for me.
That's so cute.
He just ran upstairs and he wanted to make it for me.
Aww.
But
so I was wondering, Abby, is that from a kit or from just spare parts he had?
It's from spare parts from his brain.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I like that he added flowers on the top. He's gonna make one for my really good friend who's a huge Tolkien fan, and but he's gonna make her a yellow door. So that we have.
That is so cute.
Is that for me or
he's gonna have
what other Tolkien friends do you have
to show you because I thought you would appreciate.
That is so cute. I love that.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I have to run to go get my kid from school, as you know, as a mom.
As you do.
But thank you, Kaitlyn, for coming and joining us today. To reiterate, her book is called Into the Heart of Middle Earth, exploring faith and fellowship in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And it will be available on February 20th in most of the places that you can buy a book. hopefully libraries.
Yes.
And so thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your heart and your wonderful words. We are so happy for you. We're excited for your book to come out. And like I said, I will be getting it for a gift for my friend. So I'm very excited.
Nice.
And I also want like a physical copy, I think would be really fun to have on my Tolkien shelf.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you, Kaitlyn.
Yeah. And so
Thank you.
I've been Abby.
I've been Ashley.
Go for it. You got
me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been Kaitlyn.
Yay!
There you go.
And we've been the Sisters of the Shire podcast with our extra sister today, Kaitlyn. And we are so happy you joined us today, and we hope you can join us next time. Bye!
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!